Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our informational webinar on Long-Term Administrative Support Contract, LTASC II. Our guests today are Ms. Annette Owen-Scarborough, Mr. Jeff Klein, and Dr. John Audible. I will be introducing our moderator and speakers here shortly, but before I do that, just some housekeeping slides to go through. Let me introduce myself here quickly. I'm your host, Reena Bhatia. I'm the CEO of Proposal Helper and Bid Execs. We provide business intelligence, strategy, and proposal management solutions, and we are celebrating our 10th year in business. We support all major IDIQs in addition to regular RFPs. A quick disclaimer before I hand it off to our guests. This webinar is for informational purposes only. We're not providing legal opinions or any legal advice. The Q&A box is open for all participants to submit questions. Please do not raise your hand, only submit questions. The questions should be related to this particular IDIQ, the NIH LTASC II program. Do not submit any CIO SP4 or any other program other than NIH LTASC II questions in the Q&A box. With that, I don't want to take up too much of our speakers' time in introduction, so I will start here quickly. I want to introduce our moderator, Ms. Annette Owen-Scarborough, Program Manager at NIH Office of Small Business Programs. Ms. Scarborough serves as the NIH Small Business Program Manager and reports to the Head of Contracting Activity, Director, Office of Acquisition and Logistics Management. She was formerly the Acting Deputy Director for Operations in the HHS Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, OSW, and a Senior Small Business Specialist. She has supported all 10 operating divisions at the HHS as a specialist. With 45 years experience in the acquisition area, she is a strong advocate and liaison for the small business community, marketing their capabilities to the HHS, NIH, and other government and private sector communities. We are very grateful to Ms. Annette Owen-Scarborough for helping us put this informational webinar together for all participants. With that, Ms. Scarborough, I'm handing over the microphone to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for participating in this very hot topic at this moment right now. The LTASC requirement is the long-term administrative support contract. This is our third iteration. And today we're lucky enough to have as our keynote speakers, Mr. Jeff Klein. He is a specialist in category management, strategic sourcing, and data analysis. And Dr. John Audible, contracting officer, contract specialist under the LTASC contract for the Department of Health and Human Services, NIH, Office of Logistics and Acquisition Operations, Special Contracting Branch. These two gentlemen have been overseeing the pre-acquisition award aspect of this LTASC contract. This LTASC contract, as we call it, is our long-term administrative support contract for all administrative services at the National Institutes of Health. And without further delay, I'm going to let Jeff and John take over, and we have some slides that will talk about the program. Currently, we're in LTASC II, and as I said, it's a 12-month, it's a period of at least 12 months administrative support to NIH. It's a multiple award IDIQ contract, and currently, they have 15 small business vendors on this requirement.
Currently have 17 small business.
Oh, okay. There's 17. We need to update. I need to update my slides. So we have 17. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jeff and John to give you a brief overview of the current contract and the fact that there was a market resource sources sought out on the street that has closed, and in the next week or so there should be a solicitation out for the new requirement. Jeff?
Yeah, this is Jeff Klein. I'm the core on the existing contract, and we'll also be the core on the on the new contract. Just let you know a little bit about the contract. The contract is for long-term administrative services, whereas we have admin 1 through admin 4. And we also, on the current contract, we have admin 1 through admin 4, plus we have a clerk 1 and 2. And on the new contract, we'll have the admin 1 and through the admin 4. And you'll see on the source of saw and stuff that we also have in there the program manager and the deputy program manager, because this is a non-personal services contract, so that we try to keep us in legal. We have to have, you guys have to supply a DPM or a PM or a DPM on your end, because we will not tell your employees. All the work will be done between all the assignments will be coordinated between the core, the task order core, and the PM or DPM for your company. Since it's non-personal services, we do not give direct instruction to your employees. And also, since the way the contracts are set up, our contract is with you. It's not with that contractor employee. The contractor is with the actual company. And like I said, it's for administrative services. So I know we have some questions. There were some questions that came in yesterday asking, would we consider using the GSA professional services contract? Well, the answer would be no, because like I said, this is an admin support contract. It's not a professional support contract. So if you're looking for a contract like Kelly Services and stuff, this is not it. This is only for admin personnel. Basic admin, as far as like admin 1 answering the phone, all the way up to admin 4, where they're a secretary for executive. The current contract was a 5-year contract. The new contract will be going out as a 5-year contract. We don't know how many we'll actually award at the time until we see how many we get in, and then we'll try to narrow it down. Last time we narrowed it down to 17 small business vendors. It will be a small business set aside like it was last time. And like I said, there was a question that came in asking about whether we need a PM or DPM for a 12-month period. As you see, when a task order is put out, it has to be put out for a minimum of a 12-month period. So that's why we're asking that we have a PM or DPM on site or on call are dedicated for at least that 12-month period. Now, if there's circumstances that have to change, there's also a part in the statement of work where it tells you how to replace key personnel, because key personnel are going to be the PM and the DPM. So it also tells you in there how to put it on the letterhead, and you can request but you have to submit a resume, and it has to be approved by the task order CO.
Jeff, could you explain to them the process for this requirement? Meaning, as you pointed out, it can go from a level 1 to a level 4 admin support person. Now, that level 4 support person is a higher level, meaning that person would 9 times out of 10, if I'm correct, will report directly to like a director.
Yeah,
or
they'll be working for
a senior executive.
Correct. An admin level 1 is usually just an admin that comes in and answers the phone and stuff. Then you add a little more, and they can do multiple tasks, is when you add in an admin 2. An admin 3, they can do all that, plus they multiple tasks, and they might work for a lower level director. Then the admin 4 is usually when they're working for a highly executive, or one of the NIH directors, or one of them higher level executives. And you'll see when the solicitation comes out, we have, I know before they've asked because the labor category in the Department of Labor might not be the same as our labor category. So you'll see when the solicitation does come out that there will be a mapping from the title of our labor category to the DOL labor category, so you can match it up better.
And also, even though this is a total small business set aside, that is inclusive of all the socioeconomic categories. So this is made up of not only just small businesses, but it could be we also have some 8As in there. We have a service disabled vet. HubZone, women-owned businesses.
And
So
veteran-
when we have total small business set aside, that means it's all inclusive of all types of small businesses.
Correct.
Now, another question that I do know came up was regarding teaming. Could you address that a little bit about teaming between businesses? Is that allowed under this contract or not?
Yes, teaming is allowed, and you'll notice that a lot of times I'll put the teaming in there. Since it is a small business set aside, we can't ask for a small business plan. But we do ask that if you have teaming arrangements up front to list them. And yes, it's because we know some are going to be graduating from the last contract. They might not be small business anymore, so they're going to be looking to team up with other contractors. So that, like, this would be a good time to start reaching out. But yes, we do allow teaming arrangements, and most of the time the prime has to do 51% of the work, a minimum of 51%, and then the rest would be up to the subs.
Mr. Klein, if I can interject, this is Rena. There's a follow-up question on that. Can companies be a prime and a sub at the same time? They can prime and be a sub to somebody else.
We have had them where they proposed that in the past, but we haven't awarded any like that.
I was going to say also, I wanted to point out that because of NIH, there's 27 institutes and centers at the National Institutes of Health. And so each one of those institutes and centers are run or overseen like little agencies. So the task and the actual operations of getting in the support for these contracts, you would have to market these programmatic areas for these opportunities. Some of them may be advertised and some may not. So that's why it's extremely important for you to market yourself to these programmatic areas so that you can find out where their needs are. So that's another situation, is that there's not just a list of task orders here and there. Sometimes you have to go out and market at these 27 institutes and centers. NIH has institutes and centers in North Carolina, Montana, Baltimore, and they're spread out throughout Rockville and the Rockville area on the NIH campus, as well as there's several off-site campuses as well. So those are, I would want you to take a look at the breakout slides. If you go up on NIH.gov, there is a organizational chart that shows you where the institutes and centers are. Now, I guess someone should ask the question, where do we think a lot of the opportunities will be? That is a question we can't answer, because you never know. The task orders come in to Jeff and to John, and they come into that, there's a web page that has where the task orders come in, the programmatic people send the task orders in, and then they're put together. And all of the awardees that are under this project will then have to respond to that task order based on the need and what they're looking for and the level of personnel that they need to fulfill that requirement. I see that there's 37 questions in there.
Yeah, there are more coming in. So if you'd like for me to help out, I can pick one here, which is a
yeah, because I can't see the question. So
yeah, let me place this question.
Okay.
It says, do the past performances have to come from prime only, or can subs provide past performance?
It'll be in the solicitation, but yes, they can be from primes and from the subs, but the primes will be taken more importantly because we deal with the prime. We're not going to be, since it's a small business set aside, we do not monitor the subs.
Okay, and the follow-up question to that, can subcontractors be added to the team after contract award?
Because like I said, we're not going to monitor who they team with. So if if a prime wants to add a sub after the award, that's up to them. That's a business decision on them. Like I said, we won't be
They
We
don't
won't be
have to be an IDIQ awardee to be a prime and a sub. They can be, the prime can be an awardee, but the sub does not have to be an awardee, correct?
No, the sub can be added afterwards.
Right, right.
Very good. Multiple questions, same ones. Will all 27 ICs be mandated to use this IDIQ?
Right now, no.
No.
We've been trying to get that for years, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'd say no at this point.
All right. A
It's a
question,
suggested source, but not a mandatory source.
and Ms. Scarborough, you mentioned marketing this IDIQ. A question has come in, how much and what type of marketing can vendors engage in?
That's a twofold question because the marketing depends upon how, the only way you're going to win a task order is you have to market yourself. And what I mean by marketing is that all 27 institutes and centers in the programmatic areas are aware of LTASC. That's why LTASC was put together, so that they can utilize this type of IDIQ services. Now, what I recommend as a small business person to you as a small business vendors is I would look at the task orders that are up there right now. Look at the areas where there have been traction, looking for admin staff, and I would follow that first. Then what I would do is, because I know some of the current task vendors that have been very successful has done just that. They just walk the floors, they walk the halls, they go into the areas where you know that they will need administrative type services, and I would start marketing in those institutes and centers.
Very well. A question again on teaming. I'm sorry, I keep switching back and forth. I'm trying to keep up with all the questions that are coming in here.
That's okay.
Teaming in terms of, other than prime sub, will the government allow CTAs, joint ventures, and other types of teaming arrangements?
Yes, we have had that before. We've had even some of our incumbents right now are joint ventures into special teaming arrangements.
Okay, so
Once they submit on those ones, they're going to have to submit it in their proposal, and there'll be a prime listed as their whatever name they come up with for their joint venture. Will be listed as the prime, but the two or three contracts, however many it is, will be underneath of it.
Okay. And in terms of set aside, we know this is an all small business set aside. No special categories or awards are made to 8A or HubZone, SDVOSBs. But the question is, will task orders be set aside for specific socioeconomic categories?
As of right now, no, because of the system that we use doesn't allow for it, but we are trying to get a new system eventually that will allow for multiple awards under our special set-asides.
Okay, so at some point in the duration of this contract, that could happen.
It could happen, yes, but right now, no.
And curious question from vendors, multiple questions coming in here. I don't know if you have this number. How many proposals did you receive last time where you narrowed them down to 17 awards?
It was well over 200.
Yeah.
Okay, and 17 were selected.
Well, 18 originally, then one was debarred by the Army.
Okay. And this time around, any estimated number? You're probably going to receive way more than 200 proposals.
Yeah, we have no estimate of what we're going to round it down to yet.
Okay. And just to be sure here, the requirement to respond to the market research, that was not required. If companies did not respond to the market research, can they still participate in the RFP?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah, that doesn't limit. And our market research is just to see make sure that we had enough small businesses.
Okay. And I think if I can piggyback on that, if one of you could talk to the importance of responding to these market research sources sought notices that the government puts out, I would appreciate it. How do you use it, and how does that benefit small businesses?
Yeah, what we try to do is we put out the market research to see how many businesses, and if a certain business, like if you saw our source of salt, we put it out for every business size, and we wanted to find out every small business size. We put it out as a small business source of salt for market research. And what we try to do is say, okay, match up what size businesses, and do they match up with what we had in the existing contract? Okay, if we find out that we had a lot of work that could have been done by a certain size standard, then we might have been able to do a set aside for that size standard. If we knew that on our current contract and what was submitted during the market research, that it would allow us to have enough competition to go out there if we wanted to do women-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, 8A, or whatever, just to make sure that we had enough competition in each area.
And if I can add to that, I never can stress enough the importance of small businesses responding to sources sought. I know that a lot of you come in, a lot of times you'll come into me as the small business program manager, and I can say, well, it costs us a lot of money to respond to these sources sought, especially when you don't find out the acquisition strategy until after you may see the solicitation comes out. But let me assure you that as a small business, NIH is very, very strong and very supportive of our acquisition officials putting sources sought out, because that's the first bite at the apple for a small business. When they put out their sources sought, it's going to ask for all the socioeconomic areas. And that way, if they have the rule of two, they can determine if it's going to go into one of the areas: hub zones, service-disabled vets, women-owned, and so on and so on. And one of the things that is to your advantage is if there's two or more, and you have demonstrated, because they're not evaluating you at that time, you're demonstrating that you have the capability based on what's in that market research sources sought. Because please, 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 and I beg vendors not to do this all the time. Don't just send in your company capability statement and respond to a sources sought. Please address it for what is in that description that's in that sources sought. Because if not, then you've already lost already. Because if you're going to send in your corporate capability statement, you haven't addressed what they're looking for. And there's keywords and descriptions in those sources sought that they're looking for to demonstrate that you may have a clear understanding, or you have the efforts that they could possibly utilize to go after these opportunities. But do not underestimate the importance of you submitting a tailored capability statement to these sources sought. Because as I said, that is your first bite at the apple. And that also gives your small business specialists that have to review this plan, and your programmatic person like Jeff, the opportunity to see if there is in fact that small business population that has not only interest, but have demonstrated capability. So it is extremely important to respond.
Thank you for that. A few more questions here. While LTASC is specifically for admin support, how will administrative roles be procured in the future once the NIH Scientific Operations and Administrative Resources, SOAR, contract is awarded?
That's two different opportunities. That's two different requirements.
Okay, so no conflict between the two?
No,
because one will be for professional services and the other one's for admin.
Exactly.
Okay.
They don't cross. Professional services is all the higher paid, the real professional services other than admin, which is like the COVID contract is a professional services. The TAPS, some of the other the GSA contract is professional service. This is an admin contract.
Exactly.
And is there potential for companies to be off-ramp? Is there an on-ramp and an off-ramp on this once you're awarded, if you have outgrown your socioeconomic status?
What do you mean if a contractor has
Yeah, if
I'll
a
bring it.
contractor is no longer a small business, can they still continue to respond to the task orders?
As the task orders, yes, because what it is if they were a small business when they were awarded the contract, they can be a small, they're counted as a small business through the life of the contract.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So there were multiple questions that came in on that. And of course, the burning question here is this going to be an LPTA evaluation?
No, we usually do best value trade-offs.
All
Now,
right.
some of the task orders there, I will say that some of the institutes do practice LPTA at the task order level, but we do not do it at the contract.
All right. And this contract is only available within NIHICs. No other agency can use this contract. Is that correct?
Correct.
The LTASC II is written that way, but the LTASC III, it might be opened up to HHS, but if it'll be on a case-by-case basis, and have to be approved by our director, because all the first task order, there has to be a need at NIH first. We have to cover all the needs at NIH first, then we'll see if there's enough room to open it up to companies within HHS.
Okay. And there are multiple questions coming in here to, asking about incumbent names, incumbent contract numbers. As I understand it, this is already posted on your website. So the link provided here, for those of you asking about incumbent information, it's already available on the LTASC website. So please go to that website to get that information.
Yeah, it's there's a vendors tab on the website, and it'll give you, there's also an award spreadsheet that shows the different institutes and the awards also that were made on the previous contract.
A question here, is there a preference, will there be a preference given to incumbent contractors in this award?
No, because I'll say, because last time, even though we got all those proposals, there's times last time that some of the incumbents from LTASC I didn't make it on the LTASC II. It depends on their individual proposal at this time, because a lot of times you'll find out that they might get cocky. The problem is a lot of incumbents get cocky and they think they don't have to submit a good proposal because they're already on the existing contract. They don't realize that when we put it to an evaluation panel, this panel may have never heard of that. And the panel only will only evaluate what they got in front of them. Okay. So it's not a guarantee that an incumbent that's on the contract right now will be an incumbent on the new contract.
Well, I know that you were given 30 minutes of your time, and I still have a whole minute, so I'm going to take it up and ask you one more question on historical information, number of employees that have currently been hired under this program.
I think we probably have close to 600 different admins in the program right now, with over 300, close to 300 task orders. Wow.
Very nice. And is the current COVID-19 situation going to change anything in terms of work on-site, off-site? Now, we know it's a 5-year contract, so anything that might happen will be short-term, but any thoughts on the current situation?
Not right now. Right now, they do have to fill out a form to be able to get into the buildings. It has to be approved by the CO, just to let us know that somebody's there to greet them when they come in, or they're on a list to allow them in the building. So they have to. It'll be at the individual task order level if they're working in an environment where COVID-19 might be. Like right now, they're on a lot of the employees are teleworking.
Right. And some of the LTASC employees may currently they may be given permission to telework if that work is subject to being able to telework, and then some of them may not be.
So that will be specified in the individual task orders.
Correct. Yeah, because we, like at the contract level, there will be language in there for allowing telework, but the telework the final decision will be made at the task order level, because it depends on, like Manette said, it depends on the level of work, and can the work be done from a telework environment, or does it have to be done on site? And that'll be determined at the task order level.
And are all these positions SCA governed by the Service Contract Act?
Yeah, or whatever there's a new name for it now, but it'll be
Yes.
in our, but the FSLA, I think it's called now. But yes, it's still governed by the SCA.
All right. Well, it is a little over 1:30, and I know you had given us your 30 minutes. I'll open it up to any closing remarks from your team. And we, as Ms. Scarborough said, this RFP is due to come out in about a week. So,
Well, a little longer than that, but soon.
okay. We'll keep biting our nails until then, but I'll let you make your closing remarks.
Okay, closing remarks is keep checking FedBiz Ops, and also on our website. We do, when anything's updated, it's on our website, on the LTASC website that was given out earlier. You'll see it under the yellow tab up there. It'll have new announcements. Like right now, you would have saw the pre-solicitation notice to let you know that the solicitation is coming. But when the solicitation is posted, that'll change and say the solicitation is posted. So please keep reviewing the website, keep reviewing FedBiz Ops or Beta SAM or whatever it is now. Keep reviewing everything. And like I said, this is for an admin contract. If you're looking for a professional services contract, don't submit a proposal for this one. If you're looking for the NITAC, the IOSP 4, or the Kelly Services, this is a contract is completely different than that one. We're not looking for a professional series. We're looking for the admin series. That's
Any
all.
other questions? Yeah, any other questions before we close out?
Well, there are tons of questions, but they're pretty repetitive on who the incumbents are. And as I said, it's on your website. There are a lot of repeated questions. I will be sending out the questions to you, Ms. Scarborough, so you can see them.
Okay, great.
What had come in. And whatever we have answered here, we'll try and get the answers to the community as well, along with a recording of this webinar. It will be available to everyone to review even after the live session is done. So, Ms. Scarborough, any closing remarks from the Small Business Office?
No, please, I'm going to be working with this organization to come back and provide you a how to do business briefing with the National Institutes of Health. Also, I'm going to impose to do a session on working with historically Black colleges and universities, our HBCUs, because they're looking for small businesses to team with. And so we will certainly come back and give you all an opportunity to ask those questions regarding those two activities.
Beautiful. Thank you. We'll be honored to host you all again. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you to all participants for joining, and appreciate we had a different date scheduled for this webinar and we switched. We appreciate everyone's adjustment. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.